Good evening. I'm Dick Brennan in for Jessica Moore. Iran is warning that its military will decide the timing, nature, and scale of its response to the U.S. strikes. Those comments coming just a short time ago at an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council here in New York. This as the world waits to find out what remains of Iran's nuclear program. B-2 bombers returning from their mission to strike Iran were seen landing back in the U.S. this afternoon. These photos show the impact craters caused by the strike. The U.S. says 3 of Iran's nuclear sites sustained severe damage. Vice President J.D. Vance said the U.S. is not at war with Iran, but with Iran's nuclear program.
We know that we set the Iranian nuclear program back substantially last night. Whether it's years or beyond that, we know it's going to be a very long time before Iran can even build a nuclear weapon if they want to.
Officials at the Pentagon described what it called the largest B-2 operational strike in U.S. history.
The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings.
Iran says it reserves all its options, as they put it, to defend its security interests and its people. The U.S. now must brace for potential retaliation.
What happens next will now depend on what Iran chooses to do next. If they choose the path of diplomacy, we're ready. We can do a deal that's good for them, the Iranian people, and good for the world. Yeah. If they choose another route, then there'll be consequences for that.
Sunday afternoon, the UN Security Council held an emergency meeting. Meantime, Iran's foreign minister says the U.S. has abandoned diplomacy.
President Trump was elected on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world. He has betrayed not only Iran by abusing our commitment to diplomacy, but also deceived his own voters.
Members of Congress say they were only notified of the strike after it was over.
Congress needs to authorize a war against Iran, this Trump war against Iran. We have not. Congress should be consulted with it. We were not. And Congress needs to be notified, not after the fact, but in advance. We were not.
The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency told the Security Council that no one was in a position to assess the underground damage at the Fordow nuclear site. And today, a bulletin from the National Terrorism Advisory System warns of a heightened threat environment in the U.S. The bulletin does not note any current specific threats, but says there's an increased possibility of cyber attacks, acts of violence, or anti-Semitic hate crimes. Demonstrators hit the streets across the city today opposing the U.S. strike on Iran. Guajardo spoke to protesters.
Less than 24 hours after President Donald Trump announced the bombing of 3 nuclear sites in Iran, several organizations gathered hundreds of people to march across Midtown in protest. Protesters marched from Times Square to Columbus Circle on Sunday, waving flags and signs reading "Stop the War in Iran," "Hands off Iran," and "No new war in the Middle East." Protesters criticized the bombing of Iran, calling it an act of war, not diplomacy, and raised concerns that this move could end any possibility of an international treaty to end the spread of nuclear weapons. Together, they called for a stop to attacks on Iran and Gaza. One organizer I spoke with called for the removal of President Donald Trump, and another criticized the Democrats' response to the bombing in Iran.
I'm afraid that we will see a World War III that could be nuclear in its outcome. This is not just Trump's throwing a bunch of bombs in Iran. Iran is a massive nation.
But if you notice with the Democrats, the party who told us that they were so much different than Trump, they're not making these pleas for peace. They're not saying Trump end this war, don't drag the U.S. into a global war. They're concerned about him consulting promise. They're concerned about him dotting his I's and crossing his T's.
Organizers say they will continue to protest any violence or attacks in the Middle East. In Midtown, Guajardo, CBS News, New York.